Hi, everybody, and thank you for coming. And so it is actually such important information, I believe, this for all of us. And so the Ascended Masters have given us these amazing ideas and tools to expand our threefold flame, which we know is really our sort of road to our ascension. So so as we start, I always like to say to people that come afterwards on YouTube, that the books are all online for free at that website, iamfree.co.za. And there's also audios and just wonderful things. There are lots of information there. And then afterwards, there's a time for questions and sharing after the session. And for those that are just starting, there is a tab at the top of the website, Begin Here, and there's lots of information there to go through slowly. And then there's YouTube links and what have you. For those on YouTube, sorry, there'll be put links in the description box. And then for those that can afford it, obviously donations are very gratefully received because that enables travel and what have you to share these teachings. So I'd just like to see, Sergio, are you able to read the opening invocation for us?
Oh, yeah, sure. And yes, thank you, beloved. And yeah, will do. With pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. With mics muted, let's all read together. Beloved presence of God, I am. It is thy life and intelligence that enables me to read and comprehend and absorb that which is required of me. For life, I am so grateful. Beloved Master Kutumi, I ask for your feeling and your capacity to use this instruction for God's glory and mankind's comfort. We thank you. And now, great I am presence, take me within thyself. There instruct me and cause me to retain the full memory of these inner instructions. We thank you. From beloved Saint Germain.
Marvelous. Thank you, beloved Sergio. All right, so we just get straight into it. So the threefold flame in our heart, as I'm sure we know, is our life. We don't have life without that threefold flame, which actually beats our heart. So they call it the thinking flame, and it gives our body life. It enables us to think, feel, talk, and act. So it's the anchorage of our mighty I am presence in our hearts. So it's the garment of our holy Christ self, because within that golden flame, which is in the center, is actually a miniature of our own beloved holy Christ self. And I'll tell you a story about that later on in the session with Norman. So the Vedas refer to it as the golden man in the heart, or the Christians refer to it as the Christ self, or that in the Christian dispensation, that was what it was referred to as. And in often it's referred to as the higher mental body as well. So that's our beloved Christ self, which is a step down. I mean, sometimes they refer to as like a step down transformer or as an intermediary between ourselves down here and our mighty I am presence, because the Christ self obviously vibrates at a lower frequency than our I am presence. And so it is the one that understands what we're going through down here, it doesn't condone any of the imperfections, but it does take the messages as we make the calls to our I am presence. And then out go those rays to give us the assistance that we've asked for. So when we are trustworthy with that light, the I am presence will expand the light in our hearts until we are the light, the Christ in action. And that's really what we want. That's why in the pictures of old with the saints, they'd have that glow around them. They painted that, the artists. So when we are in control of our four lower bodies, especially the mental and emotional bodies, this threefold flame expands. But the light will not expand, as it would cause karma and would not be merciful if we are not able to control our minds and feelings and keep harmonious in all situations. So that's always our challenge, isn't it? To keep that harmony. And I love some of the information they're going to give us later on to help with this. So it is the Holy Trinity, and the students of the light are in the process of perfectly balancing this threefold flame. So the love is on our right side, when we look at it here, it's on the left because we're facing the Christ self there. So it's the pink flame, the mother, the Holy Spirit, the feeling side. It's the feeling of unconditional love. And then wisdom, the golden yellow flame in the middle, is the flame of a son. We are all sons and daughters of the Most High Living God. With the golden flame, within the golden flame is our Holy Christ self. There we can see the picture of it. And then on the left side of us is the flame of the Father, the power of the I Am, which brings faith, protection, strength, and the will of God. And the balance of these three flames, they say, is essential. So the pink flame is actually fivefold, incorporating the other four flames. So within our hearts are all the seven rays, and also the potential of our Godhead as sons and daughters of the great Godhead, which is in our system. Our universe is Alpha and Omega. So we have the same potential, as we know, to create universes and, do exactly suns and universes as the great Father, our Father, Mother God. We were born from the heart as spirit sparks from Alpha and Omega. They hit the hierarchy of the great central sun. So the threefold flame in our heart is a magnet because like attracts like. That's cosmic law. So the greater the threefold flame, the more we expand it, the greater the attraction of light to us. And the greater the ability the ascended masters have to work through us. So it attracts like and becomes a magnetizing, expanding, and radiating center. And truly it's our reason for life. As we know, the reason for life is magnetizing, expanding, and radiating the light and creating. So we're going to listen to this now. This is from the Seven Mighty Elohim Speak on the 7 steps, from the 7 steps to creation on expansion of the threefold flame. So this is a lovely thing to listen to here. Expanding the threefold flame of eternal truth. This focus of God perfection anchored within the physical heart of every personality is composed of 3 beautiful plumes of brilliant, always active flame, blue representing energy which becomes power through use, gold, the center plume, representing wisdom and illumination, and the pink plume representing pure, divine, unconditional love on the right. It is very beneficial for the student, sometime each day, to picture himself or herself standing within a greatly expanded focus of such a flame, having called forth its expansion from the threefold flame within his heart. The entire body should stand within the gold plume, visualizing it to have expanded to about 12 feet in height. Our bodies in the center of it. That flame then would, of course, extend out around the physical body for about a foot or so. Next, see the lovely blue plume to the left of the body and the pink plume to the right. In the average spiritually unawakened individual, this flame is less than 1/16 of an inch in height. One can imagine the tremendous power within this flame when so tiny a focus can keep a 200-pound or more body moving about all day, performing all its living functions physically, mentally, and emotionally. This tiny flame has within its heart an airless chamber in which there abides a small focus of the Holy Christ Self. And this holds within the physical form an anchorage of the flame of full perfection from the heart of one's own individualized I Am presence. When the outer self has become sufficiently interested in knowing the truth of his own being and begins to seek knowledge and wisdom, for wisdom is the right use of knowledge, then the threefold flame within the heart begins to expand, slowly at first, but this increases more rapidly as the Christ Self is released from that airless cell at a certain point in the expansion of the Christ consciousness within the seeking life stream. Finally, that Holy Christ self, at the sincere, loving, and constant invitation of the outer self, takes complete command of that personality and soul, and the individual then becomes an illumined one, the Christ in action here in the physical appearance world, just as beloved Lord Gautama, beloved Jesus, and all the Ascended Masters have done. Now, the reason for the blue plume always standing on the left, gold in the center, and pink on the right is this. In the heart, the blue flame, representing energy, naturally would receive the life essence as it flows into that flame. Then it passes through the gold plume of wisdom and illumination in order to show the personality what the presence desires done with its life, which is being given so freely to the outer self. Then this energy is dispensed through the pink flame on the right side, representing the releasing of the blessings of divine love from the Father, Mother God, our mighty I Am presence. This holds the perfect balance of that which is received, qualifying it for right use, righteousness, and then dispensing it only as God would do so through divine love. It is perfectly obvious before that flame, or seeing someone standing within it, the colors of that flame would seem to be reversed, but such would not be the case. Blue is always on the left, and pink always on the right, with the gold plume in the center. Oh, that was strange. I didn't want to go with the button there. So that's interesting when we realize that the energy, which is basically the light coming down through our silver cord, anchoring in our hearts, starts first with the blue flame, because that is the energy side, which is attracts it, because like attracts like again. And if we think actually what's been happening on our planet, that there's this whole, this rise or the surge in the feminine energy. There's a lot of talk about it in the New Age, the New Age teachings and what have you. They often talk about the feminine now, which is very important actually, because really what it is, it's the balancing of those three flames. Because prior to this, there hasn't really been enough of the pure divine love, if we think about it. Like if you think what's happening with the governments, the banks, there's very little love. It's much more been the blue plume and the golden plume, and not perfectly used at all, where it's just been all about power and dominance. Now, in order, I do believe, for our earth to truly move forward quickly into that golden age, the pink flame must come up. There must be the feeling side, the Holy Spirit, which I think is really important. Anyway, so accelerating the vibratory action of your four vehicles. This is from beloved God Lemoray, the great God of harmony. And he says, beloved ones, I have come to assist you in accelerating the vibratory action of your vehicles. Upon awakening and when standing on your feet, as you ask the golden man, the Holy Christ self inside, to fill your world, I counsel you to amplify the threefold flame through the lower vehicles before you amplify the golden man or the Christ. Why? He says, you see, there is an unfed flame within each body, and when amplified, it gives the golden man a greater opportunity to expand within that body and give it added assistance, for the golden man will work through that threefold flame. So there we have it. So we amplify the threefold flame before we amplify or call to the Christ within us. If the golden man has to enter the etheric body and amplify the threefold flame in that body, the golden man is doing all the work. Now we know the etheric body is our soul, which is our memory body, so it has all the memories of both good and bad through all our lifetimes, both in and out of embodiment. So let me just read that again. So if the golden man has to enter the etheric body and amplify the threefold flame in that body, the golden man is doing all the work. You will note that I have mentioned the unfed flame, and the reason is the threefold flame in the three inner bodies has not been nourished by the attention of the chelas. Now, by assisting the golden man through your attention, amplifying these threefold flames, you could ask some particular ascended master quality to pour through the threefold flame to your fellow man, such as harmony, peace, love, kindness, whatever quality you are prompted to release. If you need purity within your own world or healing, ask that it be drawn through the electrons of your four lower vehicles, amplified by the angels of healing, Mother Mary, or the Master Jesus, beloved Hilarion, or whoever you desire to give the assistance. In this manner, you start the electrons obeying the command. Now what happens? The electrons begin to move at a greater speed, with greater release of the ascended master quality, and they force the accumulation of discord, that which is causing you pain, out of that organ, out of those electrons. So we know that when things spin really fast, even like our chakras, they become non-recordant to discord. So the faster we spin, the electrons get spinning, the less they record the discords. So that's really important, I believe, for this. We need to go through this again, really, and pay close attention, I believe. So the pain is there because the electrons are not vibrating at sufficient speed to force it out of the vehicle. In using the violet flame, what does it do? When you call for the violet flame through some particular organ, it automatically speeds the vibratory action of the electrons, and the violet flame dissolves that accumulation, that discord, which is in the wedges. As we know, so that violet flame literally will erase the cause, core, effect, record, and memory, so it's not suppressed. It erases it. It erases those wedges that we've been told about in the Bridge to Freedom material that prevent our electrons from spinning at the speed of light. So that's why it's so important to combine all the use of these great flames. This will stabilize the nervous system, and I invite you to call to me, that's beloved God Moray, because he's giving this dictation here, to give added assistance through the golden man to stimulate the vibratory action of those electrons. Because as we know, if we don't manage to hold the harmony, then the light gets reduced, the amount of light released to us. And we want that light in the threefold flame to expand. And so we get tested. We get these initiations. We get tested with things that trigger us the most on this planet. So it's quite something we have to try to the best of our ability to remember to hand it over to our I Am Presence, hand it all over, because through that, the I Am Presence takes command, and then we have to get our humans out of the way and just call to God Moray to assist with pouring their great gift of harmony through our electrons, through all our earthly bodies. And then he says, it sometimes takes a little time to get the sluggish electrons moving at an increased rate of vibration, and I will lovingly give the golden man assistance if you will call to me. So there we have that wonderful opportunity, connecting directly with that beloved golden man, the Christ self within each one of our hearts, and calling to these great beings to assist in amplifying or getting those electrons to spin faster. So I just want to quickly tell you a story. So one time we were in our sanctuary in Cape Town, and Norman, who was definitely a messenger, there was no question, even though he was known as the reluctant messenger because he was so humble, he thought, how could he possibly be contacted by these great beings? Anyway, and he was taken in meditation, he was taken into his heart, and he was taken by the great divine director, we were told that, and he was shown the golden man, the golden being, the Christ self within his heart, standing in that threefold flame. He could see it very clearly. And then he saw quite definitely that it was he, you could see that it was him, perfect, absolutely beautiful, his Holy Christ self. So it was just a wonderful thing. And in another time, actually, a friend of Norman's who lived in Johannesburg phoned him, but she was very much trained in the Buddhist teachings. She phoned him and she said she just had this extraordinary experience. She was in meditation and she was kind of forced to open her eyes. She was sort of called to open her eyes. She opened her eyes and she saw this little golden being literally flying out of her physical body. And so while it wasn't sort of like physical, it was very visible. And she could see it landed on her arm. And she could see it was herself. She was absolutely amazed. She's actually part of the angelic kingdom. And then this little being just flew straight back in. So there she was being shown her own Holy Christ self, which was quite amazing, I thought. Anyway, so now we're going to listen to the Mahachohan on the right use of life, because the more we use life correctly, the more we can expand that threefold flame within our hearts. So this is just lovely from the beloved Mahachohan. Proper use of life's energy by the beloved Mahachohan. You have heard and read of the cosmic source of all life, and have contemplated that source as your I Am presence. You have felt that source surging through you as a breath of life. The Holy Spirit of God is the animating principle of life, and as representative of the Holy Spirit of this earth, I stand as the cosmic dispenser of every atom of electronic energy which fills this universe in cosmic rhythmic waves. There can be no interference with this rhythmic pulsation, for all that lives depends upon the careful and steady release of this life energy through my own body. Man cannot comprehend the tons of cosmic energy which are released into this universe hourly and freely dispensed through the life streams of mankind. This energy is the life of God. It is my joy and responsibility to draw that life and send it forth in rhythmic pulsation through mankind, the nature kingdom, and the planet itself. My concern is to teach man the proper use of this life in thought, word, and deed, that he may unfold according to his divine plan, as he must render an accounting for his use of life. So I am responsible to the Father of all of the energy that is used on this planet, and I must return it one day in the same purity which the Father gave it to me. You can realize, therefore, how eager and desirous I am to have these Chelas in physical embodiment become conscious co-workers with me in the cosmic powerhouse of the universe. My service is manifold and unlimited, and my gifts without number and without price. I can offer without limit the substance and energy for those who will be constant, ceaseless, peaceful, radiant physical expressions of my life and love. As you attend to your mundane affairs, by your every loving thought and kindly word or deed, you render my service amongst men. When you speak in the name of the Holy Spirit which is within my heart, the life energy of the Father rushes forth to fulfill the God command which you are issuing for the benefaction of the race or any part of life. Drawing light into the four lower bodies. Today we will study the mechanics that govern the inner bodies. Upon contemplation you will realize that the disintegration of the four lower bodies begins to take place from the first uncontrolled thought and feeling that is allowed to break the natural harmony of the vehicles that are provided the incoming life stream. Thus you will see that harmony is a prerequisite to drawing light. There is only one way for man to manifest that state which was enjoyed in the early golden ages, and that is to consciously draw the light into his four lower bodies, and that light will act similar to an electric charger as it flows into each electron, causing it to spin more rapidly in its orbit and gradually accelerating the vibratory rate of the lower garments. If sustained by conscious effort, this will bring the life stream to a state wherein discord and imperfection will no longer register. The purpose of drawing light consciously into one's body is to increase the vibratory action of the electrons by an added charge of power. As each electron spins around the central core of the atom to which it belongs, its increased vibratory action charges the contours of the body and the processes of your thinking and feeling. When this acceleration has taken place to a certain intensity, the slower vibrations of discord, dis-ease, and disintegration can no more attach themselves to the set of vehicles attaining the state of acceleration than a turtle could mounting a speeding car. Before man comes to the place where he may join the gods, he must master the vibrations of his bodies to a point where they do not create dissonance in their own or another's world. If you think before you speak and act before you feel, it will enable the elements of your bodies to return to their original beauty, harmony, and peace. Because as soon as the pressure of discord is consciously controlled, the life stream's natural state begins to establish itself, as the Holy Christ Self returns the electrons to their natural orbits of majesty and harmony. Transmuting impure substance by the beloved Saint Germain. One of the services of the seventh ray, the violet ray, is to help to sublimate and transmute the impure substance drawn into the force fields around the electrons in the emotional, mental, etheric, and physical bodies. Thus the individual redeems consciously all the energy he has drawn through the ages and used for experimentation. As in a carpenter's workshop, there are many shavings, much sawdust, and other residue which result from his endeavors to produce a form of beauty. So there is in the aura and the world at large much residue which results from experimentation with the tools of creation, feeling, thoughts, spoken words, and actions. The good carpenter not only produces a beautiful piece of furniture, but cleans up his workshop as well. The good honest chela, in the process of ascending into his God estate, has the use of the violet fire to clean up the residue of his experimentations with life, while consciously developing his own divine nature. This is balance, spiritual integrity, and mercy to the rest of the universe. Too long have the nature kingdom and the ascended host continued to transmute the residue for mankind. Now he has the way and means of making this personal transmutation of the energies for which he is accountable. At the same time, he thus qualifies to become an ascended being himself. Yeah, it's lovely music. It's nice to listen to it at the end. So this is from Beloved Virgo, and every part of our physical body is conscious and intelligent. She says, you need to silence your thinking and feeling activity and concentrate on me. Now we know Virgo is the great god of the earth, the Mother Earth, really. And I will show you the elemental of your body and how it works, because we have a body elemental, as we know, that's been with us since the beginning, since we had to create these low vehicles. We've had a body elemental. God bless it. I will show the elemental of each organ of your body, and even the little ones who take care of that, of each of your teeth. Yes, each tooth is governed by an elemental. Perhaps knowing their work, you will take better care of your physical bodies, and you would then stop pushing toxic foods into your body, stop criticizing your organs, your shape, or your hair. Know that each strand of your hair is governed by an elemental. And I had one time a very interesting experience with it, with one of the hairs, from my head. It was quite extraordinary. It was definitely showing me that it was conscious and intelligent. Can you understand where I am going? There is nothing inside or outside of your body that is not governed by an elemental intelligence. So please stop mistreating us, they say. We want to serve you and serve you to the best of our ability, but sometimes we need to overcome a lot of challenges to keep your bodies working. When you do not put the least effort into it, you do not put the least. La la. So that was actually given to beloved Morgan Le Fay from the 7 Sacred Weeks. That was in 2022. There's some lovely dictations she was given. I am grateful for my healthy body and bless every part of it. Absolutely. So this is illumination purification from the great Elohim of peace, also given to Morgan Le Fay. When your threefold flame strengthens and begins to pump the golden light into your brain, a great process of adjustment of your brain structure begins. Firstly, it floods and it folds your brain cells in order to dissolve the grossest substance that numb your brain. As said, there are 7 different levels of densities of matter that make up each of your bodies, and each level has 7 sub-levels. Each sub-level also has 7 sub-levels, and so on. Therefore, my beloved children, we are not talking about the cells detected through a scientific microscope, but about the set of cells of different densities that make up your brain and their correspondence in all your internal bodies: mental, emotional, etheric, which is our soul, or a memory body. The purification of the substances that make up your brain can take years or even incarnations if it depends only on your conscious effort, because to expand the spark within your heart until it becomes a pulsating flame, a huge momentum of light must be created. Furthermore, it needs to be fed constantly. However, if you attract the attention of an ascended master to you, which I'm sure all of us have, otherwise we wouldn't be here listening to this, this can be accomplished in a relatively short time, perhaps in one lifetime, which we know we've been told by Saint Germain that if we follow these teachings, apply them, daily do our morning and evening decrees and sit in meditation quietly, not for long, but just to do our holy work morning and night, that, we will achieve our ascension at the close of this lifetime. Because especially we need to transmute all our karma, which is, through the violet flame, which we know is predominant now for the next 2,000 years. It's such a gift to our beloved earth. Anyway, the great Elohim of peace continues. Not only does your brain need to be cleansed, but also your spine. Many dense patterns and toxic substances accumulate there. For example, residue from alcoholic beverages. The substance generated by alcohol consumption is extremely destructive, as are all mind-altering substances, obviously. It pollutes and obstructs the internal channels that flow within the spinal cord, as well as those leading from it to various parts of the physical, etheric, mental, emotional, and mental body. My precious ones, if you knew the damage it causes you, you would never put a drop of alcohol in your body again. As long as there is no obedience on the part of the student in this matter in ceasing the consumption of alcoholic beverages, and that actually means all the mind-altering things, I guess. I mean completely extinguishing it. An ascended master will never assist you in this purification process, as all the energy employed by the ascended master in the service of love to you would be in vain, since with your destructive habit, in a short time it would again block and numb your brain structure and spinal cord with the same toxic substance. We wish to give you many clarifications of how things work within your bodies, but we can only do so if there is a continuous effort on the part of the students to self-correct, educating their outer self in the right direction. Today, I want to tell you that until these dense substances are completely purified, the process of adjusting your brain so that it marries your heart and both begin to work in perfect unity is just one organ. As just one organ cannot move on. Only after this process is completed will your inner eye and ear open to their fullest, like two shining lotuses connecting you with all spheres and dimensions of light. So there we have, they just do ask us to be obedient and not to pick and choose, as we're told, what we want to apply. All right, so I just put these two slides in. These are the ones I actually share in the workshops because I think it's important. So these are habits to become aware of and to overcome. And we cannot really be true and free until we do. And we need to obviously continually self-examine and self-correct throughout our day, and especially at the end of the day, we look and just sit quietly and see where we could have done better. So these are the 7 mortal sins: anger, malice, and hatred. Obviously, we try and nip those in the bud, and we put everything in the violet flame because there's a cause back of our feelings. And until we've actually erased the cause, they're still there and they can erupt, those causes. They're like scars in our soul bodies. So fear of anything, and that includes superstition, etc., because really fear of anything is lack of faith, faith in our mighty I Am presence, which is all powerful and can actually never have any opposition because that light is supreme. All right, so greed and gluttony, covetousness, lust and passion, lethargy and laziness, envy and desire for personal power, pride and arrogance. And we never know what's acting in another, so we can never point fingers because everyone has their own work to do and their own past, lives, past experiences, which, have caused them to behave in a certain way, but we never know really what's causing them. So really, as they say, we need to mind our own businesses. And I think I certainly got enough business to mind of my own. So I think we probably all have. So, but anyway, we need to learn to spot them in their tracks and, consume them with a violet flame. Some of them can be very subtle. So we have to be really careful of that, yeah. So due to the vibrational frequency and their cause and effects. So this is from Saint Germain, from the Magic Presence. And remembering we can't serve 2 masters. So it's important we have to choose really who we're going to serve. So we need to get rid of using, if anybody does, I'm sure none of you do, but anyway, mind-altering substances of drugs. So this includes all the ones, whether it's mushrooms or whatever it is, because they're actually very dangerous because we're not then in control of our mental and emotional bodies. We're out of our bodies. And even we're told that sometimes the souls can get hijacked in the astral realms with this kind of thing. Even though some people have these extraordinary experiences, it's far safer to go straight to your own I Am presence and your Christ self, and do it in the divine time when the soul is ready, when the bodies are ready. So alcohol, because we know about that. Meat, and this includes fish and chicken because it causes fear. So fear is obviously a low frequency. And so that's why they say we need to stop eating meat. And also our physical bodies are actually not designed to eat meat. Because they're not the same. If you take a vegetarian animal and a meat-eating animal, we are all akin to the vegetarian animal. We perspire through our skin. The meat-eating animals pant. We have a long undulating colons, as do the vegetarian animals, whereas the meat-eating ones have short, smooth colons with a very high acid content. We don't have the same. We don't have the claws, the sharp teeth. There's many things that we don't have that the meat-eating animals have. So there's nothing in us that points to us needing to eat meat. And believe me, I know some very strong athletes that have never, ever eaten meat. My young son being one of them, he rose for South Africa and he's never eaten meat because when I had him, I was vegetarian and he chose to do that. Obviously, he was given the choice. But he's big and strong and healthy and, yeah, amazing. Anyway, and tobacco. Tobacco creates a film in the like a smoke screen, really, in the brain. So that's also, they said, we need to get rid of garlic and onion. So this is obviously a controversial one. People like their garlic and onion. Cooked onion doesn't seem to have the same effect. But garlic and raw onion make a very pungent smell in the body, and it attracts lower energies and also very toxic. Saint Germain actually said that the garlic smell and the raw onion smell attract disembodied ones, they literally live off that smell. That's why the Jains, the Brahmakumaris, the Hare Krishnas, all these ancient sects in India that are very high sects that do a lot of meditation, they don't eat it because otherwise they're constantly disturbed by these negative energies and entities. So that's why it's a good thing to remember that. And then there's obviously excessive strong sugar, strong coffee and salt. Nothing fanatical, because we can have a cup of coffee and a piece of cake, absolutely, but we're not going to live on it because otherwise it's not good for our bodies. We've got to try and keep our bodies in good shape because they are literally the vehicle for our Holy Christ flame, our iron presence here. And so then there are also colors, bright pillar box red and black. So colors are beautiful, clear colors are magnets, they say, from the rivers of these lights that are in everywhere. And we get it when we wear beautiful, clear colors, they actually attract the blessings. Whereas bright pillar box red was never actually in the spectrum. In fact, if you take the colors that you put into a printer, they're not, it's not red, it's a magenta pink, yellow, and blue. And that creates all the colors. So, and black doesn't have any light, so it doesn't attract light. But obviously and the most important thing is we avoid becoming fanatical zealots, because there's nothing worse. We don't have to say a word to anybody. We can just be the example, and we change and we stay with it. But never force it on others, because that's just the worst. So the Ascended Master's motto is to know, to dare, to do, and to be silent. So that's our opportunity. Okay, so this is a good analogy given by beloved Paul the Mahachohan. He says we can liken our four low vehicles in which we operate on earth to the wheels of a car. So if there's too much focus on one body, we have a tractor tire. And if there's not an equal amount on the other three, which might be the physical, etheric, mental, or emotional, we have cotton reels. And there's an imbalance and the road is bumpy. And makes complete sense. So the mental body was really created to receive divine ideas and directions. The emotional body was created to activate them through activate the divine design. Because the feeling, we know that we have a thought, if it's not coupled with feeling, it doesn't manifest. So really, the mental and emotional bodies are the perfect balance for creation. The masculine is the thought and the feminine is the feeling. And that's how we create. So the use of the violet consuming flame, this is what Saint Germain says, is more valuable to you and to all mankind than all the wealth, all the gold, all the jewels of the planet. Because why? It can erase all our misuse of life, all the burdens that we've ever created, the shadows on this beloved earth, and we can then do our ascension. It's such an important thing. It also erases those scars that can cause us to erupt, as we know. So it's very important. Okay, so this is a short one. We're getting to the end now. It's not going to be a full hour, but that's fine. This is just, we have the perfect solution. We have instant remedies. We have the supreme God power instantly at our disposal. It is the power of our attention, coupled with the purifying power of the sacred fire. And we can, through our attention, remedy any imperfection the very instant that it presents itself upon the doorstep of our consciousness. We all have our own, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving, mighty I Am presence above us and anchored in our hearts, which will release the violet consuming flame of forgiveness and mercy when we call it forth. It is a mighty spiritual eraser. It is conscious and intelligent qualified light, qualified energy. This divine alchemical process changes all wrongly qualified energy into purity and perfection, as it was always meant to be, through the great gift of the law of forgiveness. And when released by our I Am presence through our calls, it goes into action to transmute and consume the cause, core, effect, record, and memory of the wrongdoing. If something is not forgotten, it is not forgiven, and we still carry the burden. Only the sacred violet fire will erase the scar from our soul body. It is not suppressed, it is erased. The sincerity and constancy of our calls and our desire to be forgiven and to forgive will determine the efficacy and the outcome. Through our many, many lives on this sweet earth, we have misused much energy that needs to be redeemed and set free so it does not present itself as karma in our daily lives. Whatever we send out returns with mathematical precision in thought, feeling, word, or action. Our power of qualification, attention, and visualization determines our path to health, happiness, freedom, and our ultimate ascension, which all must do one day. For more Ascended Master teachings, go to the website iamfree.co.za. iamfree.co.za. Okay, that was a short one that we did, done by, I didn't make that, my friend Robin, who helps with the social media, she made it. She's so clever. All right, this is just the last one we're going to listen to now. I love it. It was actually a beautiful video made by Maria, and she and Roxanne, one of the cheaters in America, read it. It's so brilliant. It's from Paul the Beloved Mahachohan, and it's understanding the motives of our fellow man, which is so important, actually, I do believe. Because it just, causes the stopping of all judgment. It's such an important one. So I thought we'd finish off with this, and it's just so lovely.
The Masters of Wisdom speak on understanding the motives behind the actions of your fellow man. The Bridge to Freedom Journal, November 1953. Ascended Master Paul, the Venetian Master. In the Western world, I have not found many life streams willing to open themselves to the influence of the third ray, with the deep, sincere heart desire to understand the motives behind the actions of their fellow man, and through such understanding equip themselves to assist to set that fellow man free. Oh, for the tolerant, understanding life stream desirous of knowing the heart cry of the soul, and then intelligently helping to set into action those causes which will result in freedom and happiness for each such a one.
There we have it. Maria always puts some beautiful music on at the end. It's just lovely. All right, so I just like maybe someone would be happy to read the end. Barbara, do you have a screen, beloved, to read the closing invocation?
I do, yes.
Thank you.
Beloved, I am presence, and beloved Master Katumi, nourish the seeds planted in my consciousness, so that the ideas entrusted to me become manifest flowers of perfect expression in my world and the world of all my fellow men. Beloved presence of God, I am. Pour the light of thy great glory upon my consciousness and nourish the seed planted by the masters. We thank you.
Marvelous. Thank you so much, beloved Barbara. I'm just going to stop the recording and then